above you, and longer if I can. How long will I need you? As long as the seasons need to follow their plan. How long will I be with you? As long as the sea is bound to wash upon the sand. How long will I want you? As long as you want me to, and longer by far. How long will I hold you? As long as your father told you, as long as you can. How long will I give to you? As long as I live through you. However long you say. How long will I love you? As long as stars are above you, and longer if I may. How long will I love you? As long as stars are above you.
Lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and think of you, turning in circles. Confusion is nothing new. Flashback to warm nights, almost left behind. A suitcase of memories, time after sometimes you picture me, I'm walking too far ahead. You're calling to me, I can't hear what you have said, and you say, go slow, I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me, time after time. If you fall, I will catch you, I'll be waiting, time you cry, I'll always be with you. When you feel a hand on your shoulder, or a kiss right out of thin air, you hear your name and then turn around, but there's nobody there. That'll be me. You see a star shining brightly for you, and you're making wishes and they're coming true. Know that I put in a good word for you. That'll be me. That'll be me. Time is sure to help your heart to mend. You know this really doesn't mean the end. They say friends are forever, and I'm sure we'll meet again. But until then, I'm never far away. When you feel a hand on your shoulder, or a kiss right out of thin air, you hear your name and then turn around, but there's nobody there. That'll be me. You see a star shining brightly for you, and you're making wishes and they're coming true. Know that I put in a good word for you. That'll be me. That'll be when you feel a hand on your shoulder, or a kiss right out of thin air. You hear your name and then turn around, but there's nobody there. That'll be me. You see a star shining brightly for you, and you're making wishes and they're coming true. Know that I put in a good word for you. That'll be me. That'll be me. That'll be me.
I heard from the heavens that clouds have been gray. Pull me close, wrap me in your aching arms. I see that you're hurting. Why'd you take so long to tell me you need me? I see that you're bleeding. You don't need to show me again. But if you decide to, I'll ride in this life with you. I won't let go till the end. So cry tonight, but don't you let go of my hand. You can cry every last tear. I won't leave till I understand. Promise me, just hold my hand. Raise your head, look into my wishful eyes. That fear that's inside you will lift, give it time. I can see everything you're blind to now. Your prayers will be answered. Let God whisper how to tell me you need me. I see that you're bleeding. You don't need to show me again. But if you decide to, I'll ride in this life with you. I won't let go till the end. So cry tonight, but don't you let go of my hand. You can cry every last tear. I won't leave till I understand. Promise you, just hold my hand. Hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand. I'll be right here. Hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand. I'll be right here. Hold my hand. I know you're scared and your pain isn't perfect, but don't you give up on yourself. I heard a story, a girl she once told me that I would be happy again. Hold my I heard from the heavens.
Family members and friends, on behalf of Rosie's family, a very warm welcome. Some of you have travelled a significant distance to be here today. On behalf of the family, I thank you all for your attendance to celebrate the life of Rosie May Elgin. As you share with us in this celebration, we use the word celebration in all its richness. It signifies the marking of a significant event that is important to each and every one of us, that being the passing of a much-loved woman who has laid lifelong foundations for many lives in her contribution to her family, friends, and community. My name is Mary Rose Hookey, and I am a civil celebrant. It is an honour to have been invited to lead this celebration for the life of Rosie May Elgin, known to you all either as Mum, Nana, or Rosie. I thank the family for that privilege. Following this ceremony, Rosie's family invite you to join with them here for light refreshments, where you can share your many stories about Rosie and her life. Now I must ask you to check and make sure your mobile phones are either switched off or on airplane mode. In this moment, Rosie's passing brings us together, and for a time it puts aside the distractions of our everyday life. We come together as a community of family and friends, to reflect on our relationship with Rosie, our shared love and respect for her. We offer our deepest sympathy to Don, Rosie's husband, Jason and Emily, Heather and Jimmy, Donnie and Denise, Donna and Paul, and Sandra and Michael, along with Rosie's grandchildren, Will, Jessica, Jordan, Millie and Hayden, Alastair, Molly, Brock and Parker, and Madison. Your being here today is an acknowledgement of love and friendship for Rosie. Your presence is to share in a meaningful way your expressions of support, love, loss, and respect. The event of death has a way of uniting us in a way that perhaps no other human experience does. It reminds us of the special and unique way in which we relate to those people who cross our pathways in life. We share their grief as we celebrate Rosie's life. I'm now going to call on members of the family to place objects on Rosie's coffin. So would the members of Rosie's family please come forward to place on her coffin the scarf of her favourite footy team, dare I say it, Richmond, her small elephant with its trunk up, of course, and her favourite moisturiser, oil of Olay. Such a favourite, not only of Rosie's, but even her son Donnie would slap some on his face, of course, when he was a young boy, although I've just seen that he's just done it now. I invite Rosie's daughters, Heather, Donna and Sandra, to give the family eulogy and tribute to their mum. That's all there. Thank you.
No. Rosie May Weston, born on the 11th of May, 1954, in Wedderburn to Heather and Roy Weston. They lived a very simple life, with Pop being a farmhand and Nana working at the Yuki factory. She has 5 brothers and 2 sisters, Jimmy, David, Nettie, Billy, Margie, Murray and Lionel. There was always one of them up to mischief and mayhem, and many a story has been told that has left us all bursting with laughter, especially when Pop would get in his moods and the kids would all stir up trouble, and then they would run out into the paddock and hide up in the tree so he couldn't find them. Mum attended the Bort Primary School and then on to Bort Secondary College. An old school friend of Mum's reached out this week to let us know how beautiful Mum had been to her at school, and to also tell us that Mum taught her about the birds and the bees. By the time she reached year 9, she was over school, and Nana said she could leave school as long as she had a job. By 2 o'clock that afternoon, Mum had secured a job at the local hospital. As part of the domestic staff, cleaning and helping the nurses. Her favourite part had been helping the patients do their hair and makeup, just to make them feel a little bit better about being in hospital. So the hospital seemed to be the opening for the love of Mum's life to ride into her life. Dad was the local postie and he would deliver the mail to the hospital. Mum conveniently organised her breaks to be at the same time the mail would be delivered so she could check him out. It also turned out that Dad was friends with her brothers, and then began a love story for the ages. When Dad went to ask Pop permission to marry Mum, Pop kindly showed Dad to the end of the driveway with the shotgun. Mum moved out of her parents' house and moved in with Dad, and with them marrying on the 16th of December in 1972 in Quambatook, they then moved to Donald to live. Always the Pied Piper, Mum had some of her brothers move in with them as newlyweds. And the house was full of love and laughter. Once late at night when the boys all went out shooting and Mum was left at home pregnant with Jason, Dad gave Mum a shotgun and said, if anything happens, just shoot at the door. Mum said, just make sure you make lots of noise when you get home, so I know it's you. Dad, always the considerate one, got back in the early hours of the morning and figured Mum would be sleeping. So he and the uncles quietly tiptoed into the house so as not to wake Mum. After opening the door, you have never seen 3 grown men drop to the floor so quickly to dodge the bullet. From that day on, Dad would stomp at the door and announce, honey, I'm home. As all couples do, they discussed how many kids they wanted. Dad a football team, and Mum just wanted as many as she could. The magic number was 5. They started straight away with Jason in 73, me in 74, and Donnie in 75. The house was full to bursting at the seams, and so on a trip to Finley to see Doc Rigby, who, by the way, helped Mum with all 5 of us kids, for the checkup, Mum and Dad seen an ad for a caravan park manager and decided to take on another challenge and move to Tokemall to manage the local caravan park. This turned into a lifestyle gig, and they were there for 25 years. Once they settled in Tokemall, they had another 2 kids, Donna in 77 and Sandra in 80. At this point, Doc said to Mum, no more. The house was full, and we would always have friends and family stay, sometimes short stays and sometimes long. Always, whatever was needed, Mum and Dad would make sure they would not go without. While at the caravan park each year, we would have to clean the local 25-metre swimming pool after the winter and the slime build-up and prepare for the summer opening. Brooms, hoses and hopefully a hot day, we would all get in and give Mum and Dad a hand. Now, Mum was not a swimmer, but she loved being around the water, just not in it. Through lots of coaxing, we got Mum into the pool where there was a small amount of water left in the deep end, gave her a skateboard, and down the ramp she went on the skateboard into the bottom of the pool in the water. That was the thing with Mum. She was always up for having a go, even if it was something outside of her comfort zone, especially if it was something that was supporting Dad or one of us kids. I remember some of the things Mum did with Dad. Fishing and camping in the middle of winter because summer was always busy. Managing the caravan park with Dad for 25 years. Building a mini golf course. Running a pool conference with over 300 delegates and their partners. Dressing up a nun to Dad's priest to attend the footballers' ball. Then the things for us kids. Girl guides, brownies, cubs, Boy Scouts, football, swimming competitions, hospital stuff with little Donnie, and an all-in family holiday to Thailand.
Then in the later years, all the travel and fun with the grandkids, football and netball, birthdays and christenings, school dance concerts, and anything the grandkids wanted, Nana would make sure that the parents knew where she stood. As kids, and now as adults with our own children, we know we have been blessed with the most amazing woman as our mum. After we left the caravan park, we started another family business and moved to Coburg North, where they transformed the warehouse to have living spaces on the top floor, a bar and games on the second floor, and work on the ground floor. That second floor had the best get-togethers and parties, with Mum never missing an opportunity to have a scotch and a laugh with friends, especially since all her kids were now grown adults and were able to have a drink, not only as her children, but as her friends. The grandkids came thick and fast, and at last count, numbered 10. Every one of them bringing her absolute joy, Snapchats, video calls and surprise visits, sitting on the arm of her chair for a cuddle or a back scratch. And a very lucky few were able to get a special over-the-sink hair wash that only Nana had the magic touch for. In 2005, Mum was diagnosed with breast cancer. Anyone that has heard the word cancer from their doctor knows that the world changes that day, and you realise that you don't get to live forever, and the reality of death is real. This is the only appointment Mum ever attended on her own, as we promised her that day that she would not be alone and we would be with her every step of the way. Surgery straight away to remove the lump from her boob and some lymph nodes, and then months of chemo via the drip and radiation were to follow. 10 years of repeated blood tests and scans, monitoring to make sure that it didn't return. Thanks. In May 2015, she was given the all clear from the doctors that her breast cancer would not return. 4 months later, in September 2015, during a regular checkup, the doctors found out that Mum had her second cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was everywhere, but it was not doing anything. So at this point, they just wanted to watch and wait, and then smack it on the head when it changed. So from 2015, Mum lived with the mental challenge of having the cancer in her but not doing anything but waiting. And again, this just showed us the strength of the woman. In 2018, Mum and Dad made the big step to move from the city to the country, and they bought a house in Kialla. Mum loved being back in the country, always a country girl enjoying camping, fishing and riding motorbikes. Mum would quite often sit in the garden and enjoy the birds that would come to the trees and sing and whistle all day. The house just kept filling with plants, plants and more plants. They set up the family business in Shepparton and all worked hard. Life was to be enjoyed, and there were more family events, weddings, debs, graduations, barbecues, and any excuse for us to get together just to hang out. Brace yourselves. Rightio. Oof. Hold on. I don't know why they gave me the last bit. It's always a shit bit, isn't it? Anyway. In 2019, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma reared its ugly head, and the transformation to aggressive was her third cancer. She just wanted to take the cake for as many as she could get, I reckon. It was a grapefruit-sized lump across her heart and esophagus. The doctors smashed it with further rounds of chemo, and again, Mum beat the odds with another long stay in hospital. In 2022, after going through COVID without catching COVID and worrying the whole time because her immune system was so low, she went to her local doctor for a checkup, and her blood tests came back with an irregular read. Further tests, and they confirmed Mum now had her 4th cancer, leukemia, that prick. Again, Mum and Sarge go into the hospital for tests and work on a plan. Mum now has quite a few doctors on her list, and we gave them a little nickname, the Knights of the Round Table. One afternoon, her music therapist came in to play the guitar and sing for Mum. She turned to Sarge and she goes, "I reckon I'll pretend to be asleep next time he comes around." Anyway, Sarge and Mum would call Dad daily for updates. And when calling him, they'd give him the updates of the doctors from Mum. Mum once said, "Oh, he's easy on the eye." Anyone would know where I get that from. But Dad, being half deaf, says to Mum, "The eye doctor?" And then he said, "Why are you seeing an optometrist for?" And from that point, we referred to him as Hot Doc. And then Dad would say, "Don't you mean the optometrist?" From September last year to mid-November, Mum went through further rounds of chemo, and Mum and Sarge lived in an apartment close to the hospital in Melbourne while she fought bouts of infections and readmissions. Finally, the tick of approval. Mum was in remission and could return home. Problem was, home was now flooded and she couldn't go home. We organised Mum to become a VIP, which we always thought she was, a guest at the Carrington until after Sarge and Jimmy's wedding. Although Mum was in remission, her bone marrow just wouldn't start up again. Mum and Sarge would go in twice weekly for platelet and red blood transfusions. Never knowing if it was going to be a couple of hours or a whole day. Needless to say, the team at the GV oncology ward got to know them really well and often enjoyed a laugh with the team. Sparge, sorry mate. Oh, every time I've practiced this, I've called her Sparge. That might be a new name. Sarge spoke to Lindley after Mum passed, and Lindley said that Mum would come in looking so tired and worn out, but then when asked how she felt, she always said she was good. The oncology team always made time to give her a little wave, say hello, or even just a wink over the face mask to reassure Mum that they were there for her. From her first cancer to her last, we watched the strength in Mum grow. Here we go. From the beginning, Sarge would sleep at the hospital and be there during the night, so if she needed to get up and go to the toilet or anything else, always being connected to a bloody IV or something. But after COVID, they changed the rules. Sarge was no longer able to sleep at the hospital. From 8 p.m. until 10 a.m. in the morning, Mum would be on her own, and we watched her overcome her anxieties and become an incredibly strong woman who we're so proud of. If the doctors came in the night, she would tell them if they wanted to know information, they'd have to let Sarge in the hospital earlier. Well, her check-in time was now 8 a.m. That week never finished the way we ever thought. On Tuesday, big day, Dad was involved in a little incident, and he decided he would like to have a fly in a helicopter. Anyway, Jason and Sandy handled work stuff. Sargie stayed with Mum. Donnie and I were left with Dad. Mum had done her bloods Monday, but when she went in Thursday for the platelets and blood, her temperature spiked and they admitted her to the GV hospital. Mum was more concerned with how Dad was feeling instead of how she was feeling. Here, you can have that one too. Even up until Saturday afternoon, there were long-term plans being made for treatment for double pneumonia and the infection that was giving her grief. At 4 o'clock, this all changed when the doc pulled Sarge aside and told her the last bloods results, that her leukaemia had returned. Sarge told Mum, and Mum made the decision to call the troops in. Donnie and I broke Dad out of hospital and legged it to Shep. By the time we got there, everyone else had arrived, and we were all able to chat and talk to Mum until she quietly passed on her own time, in her own way, and with all of us supporting. peacefully and finally at rest with no pain. Last paragraph, team. Mum has shown us. Shit. They told me I'm not allowed to even swear. Don't be nice now, that will make them cry more. Mum has shown us how to be strong, how to enjoy life with our families, and most of all, how to love. Sarge asked me to give Mum a special mention for making Jimmy knock on the door that night. And from all of us kids, thanks for being the best damn mum and the best.
Well, weren't they wonderful stories about their mum, Rosie? So thank you, Heather, Donna and Sandra. Don, I would like you now to come forward with the kids for support to tell us about your beloved Rosie. I'll get that out of your way. I'll take that out of your way. All right.
My original intention today was to stand before you and tell you some of the amazing stories of how awesome it's been to have been married to Rosie May for 50 years. The truth is that since Rosie's passed, I've struggled to put many sentences together. I just hope that when she went to the pearly gates, that Johnny Lockett was there with a scotch on, not a scotch, a bloody porter on the rocks.
Ice.
On ice, sorry, get it right. And Auntie Sandra was there with her giggle and laughter to share together. I've instead opted for 50 words to highlight our years. She was the matriarch, lovable, sexy. As you can gather from some of those photos on the early part there, she was hot. She was a Pied Piper. Kids just attracted to her like nothing. Like, forget about the old man, he's nothing. Oh, listen, how many kids come to our place and said, I wish you could be our mum? She's tenacious, absolutely, especially when it comes to protecting her kids. Gutsy, loving daughter. She loved her mum heaps. Adorable, stubborn. Yeah, stubborn. Yeah, that's got its own language of all of its own when it comes to pressures. Forgiving. And boy, I needed forgiving a lot of the time. Hey, no lead for you, lot. Agree. Compassionate, empathetic, strong. How many of us could actually go through the stuff that she went through and come out at the other side dictating the terms of how you want to go? Gentle, humorous, witty, mischievous, daring, supportive, committed, protective. She was happy, impressive, daunting, inspiring, comforting, amazing, funny. She'd pull some jokes out of thin air, one-liners. Astonishing, imposing, spectacular, sublime, cool, young at heart, absolutely ageless. If you have a look at that photo, you wouldn't think that lady, 69 years old, and there's bugger all grey hair there, it's all original, and she's lost it twice. I mean, that's a tough act. I'm all grey. Miraculous, beautiful, graceful, wondrous, staggering, a very proud person, glowing, breathtaking, passionate, honourable, sharing, grateful. But we know that 50 words is not enough, so here's a few extras to go on with. Humble. She would wonder what the fuss is all about and what all those people come just for me. Hang on, she didn't know what she was. Smiling, unique, an influencer, a disciplinarian at times. Yeah, I'm glad you can say that. Honest.
I'm backing up for them, not me.
Patient, strategic. She knew what she wanted in life, and for somehow she had me on the short list. If you have a look at our wedding photo, God, what a bloody dork, and have a look at the stunner that she is.
Definitely batting above the average, Ralph.
I batted more than above my average. But then again, she had these LPs. Now, for the younger generation, that's old records. Vinyl, and she had her name written on them, Rosie May Weston. And at age 16, when we met, she put a line through that and wrote Rosie May Elgin. We married 2 years later. She knew what she wanted, and I was one of them, and I'm just so grateful, so grateful. Caring, savvy, generous, treasured, saver. Talk about saving and money. They go in one word, Rosie May. And I tell you what, you give her some money, look, can you look after that for me? I don't need it at the moment, just look after it for me, will you? Well, shit, if I tried to get it back, I couldn't get it back. I had to go through the 3rd degree 10 times, and then I might get it. Intuitive. In 2005, when Rosie was first diagnosed with cancer, it really hit home just how fortunate I was to have her in my life. And from that moment on, I nicknamed her my final word. It's precious. Thank you.
What an incredible line of words, Don. What an incredible woman and wife and mum. All I can say is, wow, what a woman. I'm now going to invite Jessica and Alistair, and they're going to give the grandchildren's tribute to their nana. Jason. Oh, is he? Okay. Sorry.
Turn your phone on first. I've actually muted it like every good person should. You can go talking to him if you like, Mary, while I get this thing going.
He's doing something that I always say is don't do that, but
Yeah.
of course, obviously, I think he must be his mother's son. Am I right?
Favourite too, Mary, just quietly.
And favourite.
Yeah.
That's not what I was told.
Oh, shit. They'll say that. All right, guys, I don't know how I'll travel with this, but we'll have a crack anyway. I'll just put a few things together. Thanks, mate. Well, where do you start? Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone who was here and those that have sent prayers and thoughts. Those that have prayers and thoughts. We as a family have been through a couple of big weeks. I want to say thank you to all those that have helped and have been there for us in the last couple of weeks. To Dad, my brother, and my sisters. Yes.
Oh, the only good one that stands up. You should read what he's got now.
And my adopted one. No, just joking. And my nieces and nephews. And our wives and husbands. Stand tall, stand strong. We have each other, we have our families. We have what Mum, Nan, created and gave us. I could stand up here and talk for hours about Mum, but I won't. But what I will, I was lucky to be able to call her my mum. Yeah. And for those that were fortunate enough to know the inner circle, that was motherfucker. Some frowned, some didn't. Some Con would go, Jesus, Jason, you can't say that. And I'd go, Con, but she touched it. She did. And he'd go, you're sick. And I went, but Mum did. Anyway. So, but Mum wasn't just Mum, Nana, mother-in-law, friend, mate, counsellor, peacemaker. Mind you, these aren't exactly spelled how they should be too. I'm glad you're not up here reading it.
No, just read what you wrote.
Peacemaker, that's referee, judge, to just us 5 kids. She was that to that and many of us, and was always there to help anyone who needed and wanted. She would go out of her way to help someone, even if we thought they didn't deserve it. Mum was just an amazing human, and would always ask. We would always ask, Mum, why is there an extra plate at tea? Sure enough, Philip, right on cue, walks in the door. I don't know how or why, but she just did. And the cousins that are more like brothers, thank you for whatever reasons you wanted to live with us, and many others that did. For Mum and Dad, it was like a lost dog's home. Yeah, sure, come in, we will help you. They will try and help anyone. It was funny, even to this day, I don't think Mum had a grey hair on her head. Seriously, have a look at her. The best crop of hair anyone ever could have. Even with 4 bouts of cancer, double pneumonia, God knows we tested her and she still didn't have grey hair. Everything, and she took everything in her stride. Even when we're sitting there Saturday night and the announcement comes over, comes over the PA saying, visiting hours are over, everyone at 8 p.m, everyone must leave in 10 minutes. In true Mum style, she just went, what am I? And flipped them the bird, and just for those that were blind and couldn't see, flipped them the bird, and then turned around and said, "You can all get fucked. I'll go when I'm ready." And right, I'll go when I'm ready. And to the very end, Mum did it her way. It was quite funny for those of us that were there. And for those of us that we know what we put them through, Mum is sitting up there, she'll be sitting up there having a cup of tea with Auntie Sam, as Dad already said, and having a port with Uncle John, looking down, going, really, we're all up here and those little fuckers are still down there. How's that work? And down there, and they'll be really going, you're kidding. But truly, we were blessed and lucky to have you for the time we did, and we were lucky to have the mum we did, and she's truly one of the 7 wonders. Love you, Mum.
Good job, mate.
Thank you very much, Jason, and yes, well done. So I now invite Jessica and Alistair. I'll have a second go at it. They're going to give their tribute, the grandchildren's tribute to their Nana.
Hi all. I am Jess, the firstborn from Donnie and Denise, and by my side I've got Al, the firstborn of Chubb and Paulie. We are 2 of many kids who had the privilege to call Rosie Elgin our Nan. Thank you to everyone who is here today for the love, support, and to share all the beautiful memories of one of the world's most beautiful people. It's hard to believe that you're gone, Nan. It doesn't feel real, and I don't know that it ever will. It's hard knowing that I won't get any more calls from you checking in with me and calling me just to tell me that you love me. It's hard knowing that every drive up to Shepparton will be one where you aren't met on the other end. It's hard knowing that when I hit milestones in my life, I no longer get to share the excitement with you and see your proud face over our FaceTime calls. I would love one more back scratch, one more hug, or one more phone call. But to have you back means you're in pain again, and I would never wish that on you. Sorry, I have to blow my nose. Okay. I will always remember our last moments together. I will cherish the last 24 years of memories that I'm blessed to have. Reflecting over your life in this last week, looking at photos and sharing stories has been bloody tough. But it was a reminder of the amazing person that you are, the love that you had for everyone. Where am I? And the fight, determination, and strength that you demonstrated through a 20-year-long battle with cancer. When speaking with all the grandkids, we often reverted our memories to those in the Coburg factory. Nan had many tactics to stop us kids from fighting growing up, and God, we've had some good laughs about it now. Some of the personal favourites included the time Nan locked Molly and Midge in the lift halfway from the ground to the second floor, which only she could control from the top. The girls remember Nan leaning over the top of the lift from level 2 shouting, "Once you girls learn to sort your shit, I'll let you out." The girls quickly learned after that not to fight in front of Nan, and instead would argue with words over pen and paper and slide their notes under their doors to each other when Nan was around.
Another one of Nan's tactics was Jess and I were mucking up, playing around, and we ended up getting tied together for all our arguments. And until we could demonstrate that our arguments were over, she wouldn't untie us. My personal favourite, though, was when George and I decided to throw every toy out of the window of level 2. Nan's punishment was to make us run down 6 flights of stairs and one by one bring all the toys back up and put them away. We quickly learnt never to do that again.
When I asked all the grandkids what they remember the most about growing up with Nan, we spoke about our memories of her, sitting in her massive bed, in her robe with her cup of tea in hand, windows open. We remember Nan listening out the windows, and if she heard something, she would say, "Shh, what's that? Kids, go check the window. Who's out there? What are they doing?" In those moments, we felt as though we were protecting our Nan and letting her know that it was nothing and it was all okay. The tears that are present today, Nan, are because I miss you. I'm forever going to miss you and the times we shared. But they're also happy tears, knowing that now you are no longer in pain and can finally rest after the longest fight for life.
We bloody love you, Nan.
Thank you for allowing me to share all my milestones with you. Thank you for all the ports we cheers to. Thank you for calling me often. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the laughs. And thank you for the love that you gave to each and every one of us grandkids. We thank you for being the world's best Nan. We're gonna miss you. We don't want to let you go, Nan, but we know that we will meet again.
Until then, we love you. Enjoy the port up there, free of pain.
What a beautiful legacy Rosie has left. when her grandchildren can pay a tribute like that to their nan. Thank you, Jessica and Alistair. I'm now going to invite you to look at a living memorial or a slideshow of Rosie, the woman we all knew and loved. As the photos roll through, quietly reflect on Rosie and remember what she meant to each and every one of you and the impact that she had on your life. Remember her generous heart and remember her devotion to her family. Reflect on her smile and her hugs. Let us now look and reflect.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be.
believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me.
Arrogant, change it up. Give us a George.
Tell me, what does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. And I hope the angels know what they have. I'll bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. So tell me, what do you do up in heaven? All your days filled with love and light. Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy? Are you more alive? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. And I hope the angels know what they have. I'll bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. And I hope the angels know what they have. I'll bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived, since you arrived.
All those beautiful photos and the laughter lines in Rosie's face. I'm now going to invite Jordan, Molly, Millie and Brock to come forward as they share the reading of a beautiful poem, One at Rest.
Think of me as one at rest. For me, you should not weep. I have no pain, no troubled thoughts, for I am just asleep. The living thinking me that was, is now forever will, and life goes on without me, as time forever should.
If your heart is heavy now, because I've gone away, dwell not long upon it, friend, for none of us can stay. Those of you who liked me, I sincerely thank you all. And those of you who loved me, I thank you most of all.
And in my fleeting lifespan, as time went rushing by, I found some time to hesitate, to laugh, to love, to cry. Matters it now if time began, if time will ever cease? I was here, I used it all, and now I'm at peace.
All of us grandkids wrote letters to be placed with Nan in her coffin, and I would like to share my letter aloud. Hi, Nan. I know your energy and soul are no longer here, where this letter will remain until the end of time. I know that you are more than just this body that lies here in this coffin. I know that this was your vessel, and you have parted from it. To where? I don't know. I hope somewhere peaceful, somewhere that is free of pain and suffering. I hope that it's somewhere with an endless supply of scotch, as well as the best hugs, just like yours. If I knew that you could somehow read these words, Nan, I would want you to know this. Rosie May, you are such a beautiful, kind, generous and loving being. You lived a life of love, battle, triumph and so much more. I cannot thank you enough for being such a bright woman in my life. I was fortunate enough to not only know you as someone in my life, but to call you my Nan meant so much more. You have taught me so much, and I have learnt so many valuable life lessons from you, Nan. Whether it was how you taught me etiquette at the dinner table as a kid, or how to deal with troubling thoughts as I grew older. I will especially treasure the time I had living with you at Furphy Ave. Every conversation and every moment I've had with you, Nan, I've learnt something, and that I am forever grateful for. I cannot wait for the time in which we meet again. One day when my time is up and we are together once more. Until that time, Nan. Until that time, Nan, I hope you know. I hope that you know you are always by my side with whatever life throws at me. I know that you are always there. I will never forget you, Rosie Elgin. Never. I love you, Nan. Always and forever. Love your grandchild, Geordie.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Millie. And thank you, Brock. They're to be commended on standing up here and saying all those beautiful things about Rosie, their nan. I'd now like to ask Donnie, please, to come forward and give your tribute, minus the oil of Olay.
Thank you, Mary. I've been very fortunate in my life to have travelled the world to speak, and I've looked forward to every gig except for this one. Mum was proud of us kids and our grandkids, her grandkids. I haven't fucking got any grandkids yet. And she told us, it was no surprise. So when we hear people say your mum will be proud of you, we give a little silent nod because we agree. We didn't have many secrets in our house. Mum was one of those people that told it how it was, and didn't like us kids to be blindsided by anything in life. Mum loved coming to my speaking gigs when she could, and I loved sharing with the crowds about the positive impact she had on me in my life. In her final hours, we were talking about this time. And Mum said, "Hey, and Donnie, you can do a speech for me." If only she knew how much difficult memories, but how much pride I'd have to be able to stand here and do this. Mum knew her time had come to an end last week when she went in for her blood transfusions and her weekly that she'd been having twice weekly since September. Unfortunately, she had picked up pneumonia and double pneumonia and an infection, and her immune system was completely depleted and antibiotics was not responding, and she couldn't fight off the cancer anymore. The doc had shared with Sarge, and Sarge had spoke with Mum. Their relationship was incredible, and it meant there was never going to be any secrets between the two of them. A little later, the doc come into the room and gently tried to tell Mum her options, of which there were none. Mum, as proud as you like, looked at the doc and said, "Doc, let's not beat around the bush. I'm fucked, aren't I?" Sadly, we're here today because she was right. My entire life, Mum has been a straight shooter. The day I was born was a bit of a surprise. Well, not to Mum, she'd been carrying me for 9 months, but it was a surprise because she'd had 2 awesome kids already. 2 arms, 2 legs, no worries, and I rocked up. Missing my leg below the knee. No thumb on my left hand, my fingers stuck together. Needing open heart surgery a little bit later on. In the Donald Hospital, the matron came up to Mum and said, "Listen, we understand. If you like, you can leave him here." Back in 1975, things were a bit different, but Mum was the same. She said, "Bullshit, that's my boy and he's coming home with me." That set the tone for the next 47 years. Mum, honest to a fault. She'd call it how she'd see it. She loved us kids, but as Jason alluded to, we somehow found a way to push her buttons from time to time. And you knew, if you heard Mum say, "Wait till your father gets home," You were in the shit. Fortunately, that was Jason and the girls, because she never said that to me. There was one time that I may have triggered Mum's better responses to dealing with stuff. And that was when I was a little kid. I had these little legs that had a rubber foot. In those days, that foot was attached by a big bolt. And if the bolt got loose, the foot could turn around. And I thought, this is going all right. Walking down the street, I had Mum with me. Holding Mum's hand, I held Mum's hand more than most people possibly could imagine. And she's looking at all these people. Mum's a pretty relaxed camper, but she was getting these sort of weird looks. She looked down and seen I had my foot facing backwards. I was putting on a bit of a show. She fucking give me one around the ears for being a dickhead. So I learnt that turning my foot around backwards wasn't always the best option when Mum was around. Mum was the best protector of us kids you could possibly imagine, and I probably needed a little bit more protecting. And there was this one day, we lived in a caravan when we were young, and Jason, Heather and myself, Mum and Dad, and these kids were staying at the caravan park, thought it was a bit of a novelty, because this kid didn't have a leg in that caravan. They wanted to find out about it. And they come around and say, "Oh, show us your leg. Why has he got no leg? He looks different." And Mum just said, "Mate, just ignore this and they'll go away." I heard that a lot. They'll go away, they'll stop. And about 20 minutes later, Mum had had enough. She walked out. Our dog, Cindy, was tied to the front of the caravan. And she said to these kids, "Wait, that dog bit his leg off, and if you kids don't piss off, I'm going to sketch it onto you." She literally had a way with dealing with everything. I'll remember her laughs, her smile, her cuddles filled with love. The grandkids love lining up for that back scratch, as you've heard. One thing Mum always did whenever she wanted was just pull out her little comb and give her little curls, a bit of a brush. And people say I've got Mum's curls, and people often say to us kids, "Geez, you look like your mum," and I find that really weird because Chubbs is adopted. So, but seriously, anytime Mum was ever mentioned and we were connected with, we looked like, felt like, did something like, our heart would beat that little bit louder, because it's the ultimate compliment. No matter how much pain Mum was in, and she was in a lot. Most of our kids haven't known our Mum not going through a fight of some sort of cancer. She always made other people feel good. There was more kids in Toke and the surrounding areas that called our Mum, Mum. And we didn't mind, because we knew we were on a good thing. And we were privileged to be able to share her. Bruv mentioned it, we never ate at a table with just us 5 kids. There was always another plate. Usually it was Bezo that rocked up, and then Michael come and lived with us when he was 15. And we found that instantly we had another brother. So of course he got treated like another brother. Mum wasn't that impressed when Jason and I decided to give Mick a haircut with crinkle cut scissors, because we thought that'd give him a nice spiky look. Turned out so shit we had to shave his head. It was in the days when the Romper Stomper movie was out. So anyway, that turned a few heads. Kicking the footy with Bruv was something that I grew up doing and loved doing, and playing footy in the pool yard or playing cricket. Didn't like cricket so much because he'd bowl pretty fast. After we'd tape the ball and the ball would whack into the bin and leave a decent dent, I thought, shit, I'm glad that didn't hit me. There's this one day I was kicking the footy with Bruv, and we had a simple rule. If you kicked it on the roof, you had to get up and get it. He was a better kick than I, so unfortunately a few more of mine landed on the roof. I got up to get the ball, and as I'm sliding down the wall, I scratched my good knee, and I got a bit angry and frustrated. There was a bit of a temper that ran through our veins. I saw it earlier today. And I lost my cool, and with my artificial leg, because it didn't hurt when I kicked it with that, I booted a steel chair in the toilets in the pool yard. I shit myself because my leg broke in half. First thing Jason said is, "You're in trouble." He flew into the office to dob on me, and Mum was serving a customer. And he ran in, "Mum, Donnie's broke his leg." Mum was cool as a cat. "He'll be right. Dad will have a look at it when he get home." The lady Mum was serving was going to dob her into welfare. We always had this opportunity to try and get the other ones in trouble. And when you're a family of 5, that sort of becomes a bit of a game to see who can get the other one in trouble. And family of 6 made it even more fun when Romp rocked up. As we got older, we got our licence, and we all thought we could drive okay, and I didn't mind putting my foot down. As one night we were heading back to Uncle Staff's and Auntie Sandra's, and on the way over there, Mum and Sarge were in the car, and I was driving the car in front, and I thought Sarge was driving. I thought, if I speed, Mum's going to be telling her off the whole trip. So the further along we went, the faster I went. And I shit you not, I was flying. And Sarge was keeping up. I thought, Mum will be giving it to her, saying, "Heather, slow down." But right on my tail. We pulled up out the front of Uncle Staff's and Auntie Sandra's, got out of the car, and Mum got out of the driver's seat. Couldn't bloody believe it. I thought, holy shit, that's where I got it from. If you ever wanted to know what love looked like silently, it was probably on best display at this time we went paintballing. If anyone's ever been paintballing, you get a rifle, air compressed gun, and it's filled with paint ink dye. And you shoot each other, and honestly, it bloody hurts when it hits, but it's supposed to splatter and put a bit of mark on you, and you're out. And there was a fair tribe of us, about 20 of us, that went paintballing this time. And our family usually did stuff together. And we got there, we had a couple of friends with us, and the rule was, we didn't know till the end, but the rule was the cleanest 2 people at the end of the day got to do a Mexican standoff. So they would be facing back to back, and they would walk out about 10 metres until the instructor said, "Turn!" And then they would turn and shoot each other. And one of them would be the loser. Mum, as you can imagine, was pretty clean at the end of that day. And one of our, I'll say friends, he was a bit thick though. He was also selected because he was clean. And we lined up, all us kids and the rest of the group that was there beside each side. And then they did the march. And as they were walking out, both sides of the parties raised our guns to this friend of ours that was going to turn and shoot Mum. And when he said turn, both lines unloaded on this guy and literally covered him in paint. And that's how it was with Mum. We would do anything for her. She needed not ask. Sometimes she'd have to ask a couple of times. But seriously, people would do anything for my mum. And when I look at those photos and I think about how proud she was of her grandkids, and you saw them get up here and speak so fondly of my mum. When you saw Billy drinking out of a bottle of Johnny Walker, Billy doesn't even like Johnny Walker. But when Mum said have a swig, he had a swig. So it was amazing. On behalf of all the Elgins, my brothers and sisters, we would like to say thanks to Sarge. You heard in 2005 that that Mum was diagnosed with cancer for the first time. She come out of that appointment and a promise was made that she'd never go to another appointment on her own. Sarge, the oldest girl in our family, made sure that she was at every single one of Mum's appointments. Sarge knew more about Mum's medical history than some of the medical professionals treating her. Sarge held Mum's hand when she got needles. Anyone who knows me knows I have a phobia of needles. Mum hated them just as much. And for the best part of 20 years, she's been a pincushion. Hated it. Sarge would leave those nights when she had to leave Mum at the hospital and cry, leaving the person that we said would never leave, only till the morning. And we are so grateful for you, Sarge. Your life was largely on hold for our mum and your mum, and we are extremely grateful for that. We're hurting. The family's hurting. We could get up here and smile and have a yarn, and we will next door. But the truth is, we've had so many people reach out and say, we don't know what to say. It sucks, it's bullshit, we're hurting. Truth is, you being here today, you tuning in, is all the support we need. We are grateful for the people that are in here to share this moment and opportunity with us in our life. My final piece that I would like to reflect on is the fact that Mum taught us kids how to be a parent, how to love unconditionally, and she taught us to make space for people, for all people in the world. And Mum and Dad knew that they didn't need to be our friends when we were young. They needed to give us boundaries. And if they did their parenting job well, we would be their friends when we got older. Mum had 6 besties in us kids and a shitload more besties in the making with the grandkids. Mum and Dad nailed parenting. On the back of today, if you can love, if you can smile, if you can laugh, if you can not take yourself too serious, and remember my mum for being a leader in that, then our mum has spent her time very, very well. Thank you for coming today. Love you, Mum. Just before I hand back to Mary, I want to say a personal thank you to Mary. This is unscripted, and it is because Mary does an incredible job, and sometimes she does this job against the odds. And we are very grateful for your support in helping us at this special time to get through what I know you've been through. So thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much for those words. I wasn't ready for that, as you can see. What a woman, what a mum. Rosie was a very special person, one of a kind, truly one of a kind. During the many years of her illness, her concern was for others, not for herself. What a lesson we can all learn from that. In her daughter Heather's words, she was the glue that held the family together. She was their guiding light. Donnie expressed her great capacity for loving, which is also shared with us here again today. not only just her family, but her love for many others. Her hugs were bear hugs. Her infectious smile made the day brighter. And in all those photos, we saw that beautiful smile. And I was actually looking at the smile, the lines in her face that were from smiling. Her daughter-in-law, Denise, said she was a caring person and generous of spirit. Jimmy, her son-in-law, said she was a woman with humility and gratefulness, and that those elements shone through. If we put all those expressions together and the ones we've heard today from the family, put them all together as if in a mosaic, and it gives us a very clear picture of the very core of this beautiful woman that we all know as Rosie. We are grateful, for a life that has been well lived, a life that we have had the privilege to share in. We take with us memories of a daughter, a sister, a much-loved wife and mother, a nana, an aunt, and a dear, dear friend. A life of giving. We cherish the memory of her family life, her care and her concern for others. We cherish the time we had with her, but most of all, we cherish her love. May the sadness that we feel today be turned into gratitude for the time we spent with her. May the chill of the darkness of death give way to the warmth and the sunshine of her memory, a beautiful memory that we will cherish. May we leave inspired by her love, her warmth, her courage, and her friendship. Let us value every breath we take and every life that we touch, and know that love is everlasting. May we leave this place in the quietness of Rosie's memory, giving warmth and support to those she loved most. Rosie will be taken from this place for private cremation. I call Ivan forward.
Just before I call the coffin bearers forward, I'd just like to invite Peter, if you'd like to come over. Mary. We'll just have one final sip for Rosie. This is the last time. We had a big night last night. Cheers, Rosie. It was very nice, Rosie. Mary had to wait till late this afternoon. She usually starts very early in the morning. But I'd just like to, on behalf of Don and the rest of the family members, just thank everyone for your attendance here today, for your comfort and overwhelming support has been greatly appreciated by them. Special thank you to you, Mary, once again.
It's been an absolute
pleasure. And please join with the family for a cup of tea and refreshments in the refreshment room next door. I'm sure there's many, many more stories to be told about Rosie's life. Thank you. I'd just like to call the coffin bearers and the children.
Could I just have your attention for one moment, please? After the ceremony is finished here today and after we've had refreshments in the adjoining room, you are invited to the pepper mill to carry on the celebration of Rosie's life. Thank you.
I think of you when I think about forever. I hear a joke and I know you would have told it better. I think of you out of the blue when I'm watching a movie that you'd hate. You'd say it, you were never one to hesitate. You were always first in line, so why would it be different for heaven? But I got a couple questions. Is there a bar up there where you've got a favorite chair, where you sit with friends and talk about the weather? Is there a place you go to watch the sunset? And oh, is there a song you just can't wait to share? Yeah, I know you'll tell me when I get there. Do you think of me? Do you wish that I would slow down? Are there some things that you've seen that feel like home now? Are you up there climbing trees, singing brand new melodies? I hope you are. I know you are. Is there a bar up there where you've got a favorite chair, where you sit with friends and talk about the weather? Is there a place you go to watch the sunset? And oh, is there a song you just can't wait to share? Yeah, I know you'll tell me when I get there. Yeah, yeah, you'll tell me when I get there. Will you save me a place with all those pearls of wisdom? Yeah, I'll make some mistakes, and you watch me as I live them till I'm through, till I'm with you. Is there a bar up there where you've got a favorite chair, where you sit with friends and talk about the weather? Is there a place you go to watch the sunset? And oh, is there a song you just can't wait to share? Yeah, I know you'll tell me when I get there. Yeah, I think of you when I think about forever. Hold my hand, everything will be okay. I heard from the heavens that clouds have been gray. Pull me close, wrap me in your aching arms. I see that you're hurting. Why'd you take so long to tell me you need me? I see that you're bleeding. You don't need to show me again. But if you decide to, I'll ride in this life with you. I won't let go till the end. So cry tonight, but don't you let go of my hand. You can cry every last tear. I won't leave till I understand. Promise me, just hold my hand. Raise your head, look into my wishful eyes. That fear that's inside you will lift, give it time. I can see everything you're blind to now. Your prayers will be answered. Let God whisper how to tell me you need me. I see that you're bleeding. You don't need to show me again. But if you decide to, I'll ride in this life with you. I won't let go till the end. So cry tonight, but don't you let go of my hand. You can cry every last tear. I won't leave till I understand. Promise you, just hold my hand. Hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand. I'll be right here. Hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand. I'll be right here. Hold my hand. I know you're scared and your pain isn't perfect, but don't you give up on yourself. I heard a story, a girl she once told me that I would be happy again. Oh I heard from the heavens. I am sailing home again, across the sea. I am sailing stormy waters to be near you, to be free. I am flying, I am flying like a bird across the sky. I am flying, passing There's a whole nother conversation going on in a parallel universe where nothing breaks and nothing hurts. There's a waltz playing frozen in time, blades of grass on tiny bare feet. I look at you and you're looking at me. Could you beat me up? Give me a minute. I don't know what I'd say in it. Probably just stare, happy just to be there, holding your face. Beat me up. Let me be lighter. Tired of being a fighter, I think. A minute's enough just to beat me up. Some blackbird so